Just days after the Tallahassee Urban League rolled out a plan to stop the violence, there's been another shooting.
This time, a person was killed at a student apartment complex on West Tharp Street. News of another shooting has a lot of you talking on social media. This story has been shared more than 300 times on the WTXL Facebook page. Walter posted, quote, "This is past a crisis situation. It has become nightmarish," end quote. With people like Rick asking why is the crime rate so high in Tallahassee. Well, we don't have answers as to why. There are groups stepping up to try to find solutions. As we mentioned, the Tallahassee Urban League is the latest group to call for change. On Friday, the organization announced plans to form a community-driven task force. It'll be made up of people in the community, local law enforcement, and faith leaders. The Urban League says the group will give people who are hesitant about talking to police a place to turn for help. It's day 4 of Governor Ron DeSantis' trip to the Middle East. DeSantis is in Israel for the next 6 days. So far, the governor has signed a memorandum of agreement between Space Florida and the Israel Space Agency. The agreement includes projects the agencies will work on, including the launch of microsatellites. DeSantis insists the Space Force should be headquartered in Florida.
I think the fact that, I've been kind of prescient on some of these things. I've understood, what U.S. policy should be, and it has ended up happening. I'm not saying I'm the reason for that, but I think they see that as somebody, who's been willing to lead.
DeSantis also signed agreements between Haifa University and Florida Atlantic University, Miami-Dade College, Florida A&M University, and the University of North Florida. Today, Senator Rick Scott is headed to the Panhandle to help people get ready for this hurricane season. Although we've already seen our first named storm this year, hurricane season does not officially begin until Saturday. While he's in the Panhandle, Senator Scott will hold a hurricane preparedness meeting in Pensacola. Today, people who live in the Panhandle are working to get back on their feet, with many turning to our state leaders during session asking them to step up and help.
Every other disaster that's hit, they got relief right away. We have not. I mean, we're struggling over there. We're trying to keep our jobs. We're trying to get our houses rebuilt. We're trying to, just keep life going.
In Washington, the Senate voted in support of a $19 billion disaster aid package for parts of the country recovering from natural disasters. However, that package was blocked in the House because it lacked border security funds. Senator Scott is making it his mission to get people in Florida prepared before disaster strikes. During his tour, Scott will also visit Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa throughout the week.
Senator Scott is not the only one helping families get ready ahead of the hurricane season. Leon County is getting families prepared with its fifth Build Your Bucket Expo. Groups will offer hands-on demonstrations while providing information on hurricane supplies. There'll also be interactive exhibits to help you learn more about disaster preparedness and recovery. The expo is this Saturday morning starting at 9 o'clock at the Al Lawson Jr. Multi-Purpose Center. That's on FAMU's campus. The first 800 households will receive a free disaster preparedness bucket. And even if you can't make it to the event, you still have the chance to save on your hurricane supplies. Earlier this month, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a plan that gives tax breaks on hurricane supplies. The Disaster Preparedness Sales Tax Holiday Week begins this Friday, May 31st, and lasts through June 6th. And when you get back in from getting those supplies, we hope you'll join us on Saturday for our hurricane special, Prepare Now. It starts at 7:30 p.m. right here on WTXL. And Justin, you are no stranger to the tropics, so how do you get prepared for a hurricane? What would be in your bucket?
Just always make sure my car is filled up with gas. If you can go get some extra gas and some tanks, they're pretty cheap to get those extra gas tanks.
Yeah.
Just to have some of those handy, because we've seen the lines at gas stations around the time when severe weather hits.
That was me last year. I literally, I don't know what happened. It was like 2 days before the storm was supposed to hit, and I'm waiting in line for 45 minutes at the gas station.
It can be
I don't
tricky.
understand. Yeah, it was.
All right, and if you plan to spend the weekend at the beach, make sure you watch out for rip currents. Over the weekend, a 68-year-old man drowned in North Carolina. He's at least the 8th person to drown on the East Coast this week. Even in shallow water, a rip current can pull you right out.
If you get caught in one, it pulls you out. You start to feel yourself getting pulled out, then you fatigue, and then when you fatigue, you panic, and that's when you're in trouble.
Experts say swim parallel to the shore if you do get caught, and then swim at an angle away from the current once you're out of its pull. The U.S. Life Saving Association says rip currents account for 80% of rescues made by beach lifeguards.
Well, it's time to get EXCITED. And that's excited for those of you who didn't quite catch that. I know it's a little early for spelling, but
we are definitely excited for the biggest spelling bee in the country. Kumasi Aaron takes us inside how students are getting ready for the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
Nearly 600 spellers in the same room taking the same test at the same time. The preliminary test, made up of 12 spelling words and 14 vocabulary words, kicked off competition for this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee.
I think it was fun, but also stressful in a way because
this morning, we want to give a big shout out to Tallahassee's own Lily Pragle. The 7th grader is competing this week, and of course, we will follow the competition every step of the way.
okay, Justin, I know you have a history with spelling bees. We won't go into them because I know it was a little traumatizing.
It was embarrassing.
For you. I know, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyway. All right, here's a word. Are you ready?
Oh, no.
You have to spell this. Psychopharmacology. Go.
I could probably do this. I don't think we have enough time for me to sound it out in my head. Psycho, P-S-Y-C-H-O, and then we'll do the rest in the break. Just take my word for it. I did spell it right.
All right, I'll take your word for it. All right, a company that has been in your family for generations is heading to court. How Johnson & Johnson is being linked to the country's opioid crisis.
Plus, feeding families through those summer months when not all kids have food at home. The community that's stepping up to make sure no child has to go without. Sometimes when I can hear myself echo in the